Hello and welcome back to the MG Cup Series for our first race this season on NBC SN. The Fox portion of the season came off to a pretty crazy and chaotic finish last week at Infineon. Forgot what track we were at last week for a second. Don't mind that. But we're looking to pick things up just as chaotically as the Fox half left things off, because starting the NBC half of the season here at none other than Daytona International Speedway for another plate track race here this season. And I guess I should point out, this isn't the exact replay of the actual race that happened. I was debating whether I should save that replay or redo the race, and in the middle of debating it, I accidentally hit enter, and that ended the race weekend. So Jamie McMurray and all the guys that got good points in this race, they're Jamie McMurray. Wait, he won Sonoma. Never mind. Or Infineon. Why don't he say Sonoma? It's in Sonoma, California. It's Infineon Raceway. He won at Infineon, so he's got some pretty good momentum heading into this race. But the finishing order of this race is pretty similar. Not exactly the same, but pretty similar to the finishing order of the actual race. So things shouldn't be too bad as far as points. But the green flag is out, and we're racing here at Daytona. 20 laps. It's a shootout here. So, yeah, these shortened plate races should be pretty interesting. The aggression will be up pretty high from right off the bat. And already they're 3 wide. Dale Jarrett up on the high side with no help. Everyone down on the bottom and the middle. A few moves being made. Dale Jr. gets left out to dry. Here comes Ryan Newman in the 12. He hasn't won since, I believe, Charlotte last season. The Coke 600. And now, goes to the front here at Daytona. Jeff Gordon right behind him on his bumper. Jamie McMurray, the guy who stole Sonoma, Infineon from him last week, right there in third. And now here comes Gordon to the inside. McMurray follows him through. Jamie thought about possibly moving up the racetrack, as it is one bumpy track, as you guys can see. Didn't mention that in the 500, but yeah, it is very bumpy here, as you see cars bouncing over these bumps through the corners. Drivers struggling to keep their cars straight. McMurray went to the high side in front of his Dodge teammate here, but they don't really have much help up there to get anything going up high yet. Off of turn 4, as these guys fly by on the racetrack. They're 3 wide, going 205 miles an hour down the front straightaway. And here comes Mark Martin to the inside. A push from Elliott Sattler. 2 Ford teammates going for the lead here, with a Dodge of Jeremy Mayfield going to the front as well. It's single file out in front for the most part, as we get 3 wide further back. You heard my chair squeak. I apologize for that. And I wish the frames were a little better. They keep dropping down to 30 in the backstretch, but it is what it is. They are 3 wide. There's cars all over the place. So we're looking at 4 wide further back. And somehow they made it out alive. Young Kyle Busch is in this race. I don't even believe he was old enough to race plate tracks at the time, but this is trouble. Round goes Ryan Newman. Big crash gonna happen here. Oh, and another car. Oh, hard hits. Casey Kane is upside down. Gets back on all 4 wheels. And a huge crash. The big one happens off of turn 2. Racing back to the start-finish line. And Jeremy Mayfield is your leader, as his teammate just absolutely got wrecked in the back. You see Ricky Rudd going high, trying to make some momentum off the high lane and get around the 15 before the line couldn't quite do so. And a terrible crash off of turn 2 involving Kasey Kahne. Window net is down. He is alright. Let's go back and take a look at the replay here. Most of the field is like out from that. So, taking a look at what all started that, Ryan Newman got clipped from behind by Brian Vickers in the 25 machine, sent down the racetrack in the Kasey Kahne. Casey Mears caught up in it as well. They collect Rusty Wallace. Look at the 2 with the rear end up off the ground there. And then down low on the apron, Scott Riggs went low to try to avoid it. He came together with the 43 and the 45. They were making contact. Kyle Petty was turning his teammate in the 43. And they went into the wall hard. And then watch this. Talk about hard impacts as they slid down the banking. Brian Vickers and Kasey Kahne sliding down the track. And then here comes the 09. And then Hermie Sattler, nowhere to go. So we slow it way down here. Sattler came flying in. That's Elliott Sattler's brother. And he just flew in there. Chris Mack, nowhere to go, right into the back of the 97. And then the 9 up on his side with the roof goes into the outside wall. Luckily didn't hit it too hard. And then rolls over once, gets back on all 4 wheels. Gets a little bit more contact with the 4 there. Pretty hard hit. Damage on every end of that 9 car, it seems. Wild ride for Kasey Kahne. We have an onboard camera with that 9 machine as well. Wow. That's a ride I do not want to go on anytime soon. Let's go on board with Brian Vickers here. He's behind Newman. Looks like he possibly thought about making the move to go to the middle. Wasn't quite sure of it, and that was the result. It's a little too hesitant making that move down to the middle of the racetrack. Not sure if he had a car on his inside or what. But at that point, oh yeah, Rusty Wallace. Looks like he was thinking about cutting low. Right as he was gonna make the move, he clips Ryan Newman, hooks him down the racetrack, right into all these guys who really have nowhere to go. And then Rusty, poor Rusty up on the high side, just gets sandwiched into the outside wall, rear end of the car off the ground. And these guys on the apron trying to avoid it collide. And they come together hard into the outside wall. And then further up, they come together, and more cars wreck. Rusty gets hit again. Slides down the back stretch. And he was just driving away from it. Ricky Craven has damage. So let's go on board with the 12 for Ryan Newman. There's to see the contact. People are just getting turned left and right. That's Ricky Craven. Oh, and then Scott Riggs late in that, driving away from it, and they make contact. There's another look at it. Nine Kasey Kahne just gets clobbered. Thank goodness he was alright. That was a violent accident. Absolutely brutal. You see the damage done to the 86 of Chris Mack. Let's go on board with him here. See what took him out of the race. He immediately gets onto the brakes. Just nowhere to go, right into the back of Kurt Busch. And that's what took him out. Let's go on board with Kurt here, see what he saw in all this. Things were getting crazy. We knew the aggression would be up pretty high right off the start. And Kurt just had nowhere to go. And then, oh! Morgan Sheffer came sliding into that late. These guys towards the back almost didn't want to touch the brakes, it seemed like. A couple fines would definitely be handed out after that one. So anyways, as we get ready to kick things off once again here from the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway here in Daytona, Florida. The green flag is back out. We're racing once again. Jeremy Mayfield does not get going on the start. That's going to bunch everybody up. I mean, they're already bunched up. It's Daytona. But still, you'd think they would at least create a little bit of space on the restart. But nope. Everyone's going to get bunched up right off the bat. Here comes Michael Waltrip with a run. And down the back stretch for the first time on this restart after that accident. And drivers jockeying around position. Most drivers trying to get down to the bottom on this restart, as there's not enough cars up top yet to make things work up there. Got a few stragglers in the back, as you can see by that angle. But Michael Waltrip, your race leader. And a couple cars jumping up to the high lane. Mikey's gonna get shuffled out almost. Doesn't let that happen too easily. A couple cars drifting up the banking a little bit as they go over the bumps. Extremely old track surface here at Daytona. Here comes Ricky Rudd to the inside with Robbie Gordon following him through as we come around, and we're approaching halfway. And 31 is all over the back bumper of the 21 here. A little bit of bump drafting here and there. Drivers discovering bump drafting. Chris Mack was the first to do it, really. It's definitely not like he's from the future or anything. Oh, in contact, Greg Biffle got hooked down the racetrack right underneath the 31, and I believe that was a bump draft gone wrong that actually went right, because now Biffle goes to the front. Matt Kenseth, his teammate, is the one pushing him to the front here. Kenseth gonna have to let off and let him back in line, and he does. But he's right on his bumper. If they make one wrong move, that's the whole field being wiped out. And look at, that's another teammate back there, Mark Martin in the 6 machine, that white and blue Viagra number 6 Ford Fusion, or excuse me, Taurus. Now moves up to the high side as Biffle gets shoved out of line. 3 wide further back here, Ricky Hendrick in the middle in the 5 machine in his first Cup race here at Daytona. Now look at that. The entire Roush Racing stable, well, all but one, up on the high side here. 4 of the 5 cars in that team. It was Roush 1, 2, 3 on the high lane for a second until Jeff Gordon jumped up there. But Matt Kenseth leading the Roush boys with Biffle and Martin behind them. Then a car separates Martin. That's Michael Waltrip between Martin and Jeff Burton. And now it seems like we've got an even amount of cars on both lanes We'll see if things turn around here for the high lane. But Scott Wimmer leads the outside line, and now a couple cars thinking about dropping down to the bottom. We still have a little bit more cars on the low lane, but the runs they get off the corners certainly does even them out a little bit. Matt Kenseth stuck in the middle as he tried to hop down to the bottom, but couldn't quite get there. Here comes Greg Biffle following his teammate through the middle. And now there's just 2 cars on the high side. Everyone's on the middle. And now they're shuffling around down the backstretch. A couple cars get forced out of line. There's Ken Schrader. Robbie Gordon out of the lead is going to get shoved wide. And here comes a few cars on the bottom. That's Bobby Labonte, Jimmy Johnson, 4 wide. Further back, contact being made. They somehow make it out of that alive. That's Kevin Harvick. My goodness, the intensity is ramping up here at Daytona. And I believe we're going to have to worry about lap traffic. Look at Kyle Busch. Front end of that car destroyed. As I was going to mention Kyle earlier being in this race, I don't think he was old enough at the time to be racing plate races. But this is the MG Cup Series. Ain't no age limit for Daytona and Talladega. You could be 12 and come out here and race. I wouldn't advise it, but could be. Hypothetically speaking, could be. But as you see, 3 wide through the tri-oval. Ricky Hendrick behind the 21 of Ricky Rudd. And look at Dale Jr., who won the 2nd race at Talladega last season. And now Dale Earnhardt Jr. making his way up to the front. Gets by Dale Jarrett. And here comes Mark Martin back to the front. Jimmy Johnson behind them as well. And Ricky Rudd in the 21. I should mention, same winner of this race won the actual race that counts towards the season, so shouldn't have to worry about the winner's points being different or any of that, or wins being counted towards the wrong person. I made sure of that, to at least have the same winner. Look at Jamie McMurray moving his way up into 3rd place. Remember, he just won at Infineon last week, got that first win, looking to carry that momentum. But there's a bit of separation in the pack, and then there's an even amount of cars on the outside and inside lanes. Can they possibly get a run off the high side? And now here comes the rest of the pack closing back in. McMurray with a big run, looks high. He's going to get some help up on the high side here. Jimmy Johnson down on the low side has no help. McMurray gets back in line, hops down to the bottom in front of Dale Jarrett. 3 laps to go here from Daytona. And they're 3 wide. Things are getting crazy. You can tell it's 3 to go by the way they're racing here. Jamie McMurray staying right in the draft down here on the bottom. Or I guess in the middle now. Right behind Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy can't get the car to turn down to the bottom. McMurray is trying to stay in that draft. And there's a little bit of separation between the top 2 and the rest of the pack. And looking at lap cars up here, and also looking at the speed difference. These guys are going 204. They're going 185. We might possibly catch lap traffic by the end of this race. With 2 laps to go, though. And Tony Stewart now up into the mix. Right on the back bumper of Jamie McMurray. McMurray with the run goes to the inside of Jimmy Johnson. But here comes Tony Stewart on the high side. He's going to go with him. Look at Kevin Harvick with a run. Where did he come from? Things are going to get crazy here as we come to the white flag one more time around here from Daytona. And they're looking at 3 wide as Dale Jr. sticks his nose in there. And he's going to get a great run through the middle. White flag in the air one more time around for Jamie McMurray down on the bottom. He won last week at Infineon in the last race in the Fox half of the season. Can he win here again today? The first race of the NBC portion of the season. And look at that lap traffic. McMurray Probably gonna use the draft from those lap cars if he can. And there's cars high and low. Where is he gonna go? The 43 blocks the 42. The 84 up high. Lap cars are everywhere. They're slowing everybody down. Here comes Jimmy Johnson with a run up high. And 4 wide. Stewart with a run through the middle. McMurray's going to win. And they are 4 wide and a big crash across the line. Everybody is wrecking past the start-finish line. After a... I don't even know what word to use to describe that finish. A interesting, chaotic, wild finish there. Where I thought lap cars were going to ruin the race for McMurray. But luckily, McMurray was able to hold on to it. Got underneath that 43 and took the checkered flag here from Daytona. And then chaos behind them as Mark Martin gets hooked up the racetrack right into the outside wall hard, right as the safer barrier ends too. And then nowhere for the rest of the field to go. They scatter and everybody just gets collected in it. There's a couple cars down in the crash that make it through. Sterling Marlin doesn't make it through. Kevin Harvick got up into the outside wall. A couple of other cars sliding. And I mean, it's a mess. Kyle Busch, a couple lap cars are caught up in it. And I mean, it's absolute chaos. The big one, part 2, as they cross the start-finish line. And a crazy, crazy race here at Daytona. Possibly the best Daytona race in MG Cup Series history as far as the racing is concerned. Definitely not as far as the finish is concerned. This was a crazy finish, I'll admit, but this season's Daytona 500 finish was just as crazy. And looking at that wreck one more time, watch Tony Stewart gets in the Mark Martin as they ran out of room, hard hitting the outside wall for Martin there. There's nothing but smoke at this point, and cars scatter. They are going everywhere. Cars going all the way down in the grass to avoid this mess. It's Kyle Busch getting hit by Jimmy Johnson. Ricky Hendrick gets caught up in it. The 22 of Scott Wimmer gets collected. Cars are everywhere. Absolutely littered down in the turn 1 as a result of 4 wide coming across the start finish lines. We're gonna go back now, take a few looks at the onboards here. First with Mark Martin, takes a checkered flag, and next thing you know, he's in the wall. I mean, this wreck happened after the race ended. That wreck happened right after the race ended, and watching it again here. Speed things back up. Let's watch this from the onboard of poor Kyle Busch. Minding his own business, and then Kyle Busch really did nothing wrong. He stayed on the high side. It was the cars to his inside that really held up the leaders. I mean, there were 2 lines, so there was really nowhere for Kyle to go anyway. Maybe they could have pulled onto the apron when they realized the leaders were coming, but these guys are all racing for position as well. Kyle's on the high side. He's holding his line up there. And then they start splitting them here. Let's go on board with Kevin Harvick and chaos. Now we go on board with pretty much everyone in this pack. I mean, they're all big names. You see Kenseth gets through. He's going to see what breaks loose behind him. Elliott Sattler's on board. He just got by that. Let's go on board with Michael Waltrip. He does a great job at avoiding most of that. Got a tiny piece of it, but wasn't too much. Could have been worse. Could have been like Kyle Busch with heavy damage. I mean, most of that was from the first wreck, but still. On board with Bobby Labonte. He also does a great job. So Jamie McMurray wins as chaos ensues behind him. We're on board with Dale Jarrett here. He did a great job of avoiding that. Let's take another look at it here. Ooh, man. Wow, that was a hard hit for Mark Martin, though. Nowhere for... You saw Ken Schrader get a piece of that late. Sterling Marlin spinning. Let's go on board with Ricky Hendrick. Ricky has a big run. Couldn't do anything with it. At this point, the race is over. Off the gas, and he's trying to make it through, but Jimmy Johnson spins right up into his path. He's got nowhere to go. So two big wrecks here today at Daytona. I mean, say you just raced at Daytona without saying you raced at Daytona. There were two big wrecks. One car got upside down. That's literally all I mean, literally, that's, wow. This was one chaotic race. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe. Hope to see you guys next race, and until then, peace.